Welcome. You're watching Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life, with your host, Danny Pabone and Rifle Scudder.
Welcome to another episode of Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life. As always, I'm joined here by my friend Rifle. Rifle, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, thanks, Danny. Unfortunately, Six Nations finished, so we got a little
Yeah.
bit of waiting till the next international rugby. So, got to find other things to do on our weekends now. But everything's good, thank you.
Yes. Final week 5 of the Six Nations tournament just occurred this past weekend from the time of this recording, and that's what we're going to be talking about this episode is a recap of week 5. And I've also noticed you have your little Springbok apparel on today. So
Yes, it's a nice T-shirt. It's warming up here where we are, so bring up the green and gold for the warmer weather.
there you go. Yes, it's good. I believe today is the first day of spring or tomorrow. I have to check my calendar, but
I
it's
don't
either
know.
today or tomorrow. We finally made it to spring here in the Northeast US, so that's pretty exciting as well.
Very much, yeah.
So, with that, let's get right to it. So, as I've said, we have the week 5 recap of the Six Nations tournament, 2025 tournament. And I guess it pretty much went the way we expected uh, as far as the teams that won. However, as everybody can see here, Wales, poor Wales, just received another slashing by England. So the second time they've received just a beatdown. So unfortunately, Wales is now 17 games in a row
I think it.
loss.
I think it might be 17. I thought it was 16 when I thought I heard. It could be 17. I may be wrong.
Yeah, bel I believe it's 17. I may be wrong
Okay.
myself, but I think it was 12 going into Six Nations,
Okay.
and then they lost these 5 games in Six Nations. So I believe it's 17. I may be wrong, but
I
either
stopped
way, it's
counting
either
for them at
16.
16, yeah.
It's either 16 or 17. Either way, it's not good.
Yeah, not a good report for them. Shame.
Yeah, unfortunately. Um, it it was crazy, and we'll get into each game when um Warren Gatlin stepped down, and then you had the new interim coach. That first game they came out, they played hard, and it was a hard fought game. They still lost, but you could tell they had fight in them.
Yeah,
Um, Unfortunately, that didn't last too long, and in this game, I mean, Wales just man,
they
I
got
hate I
plucked by
hate to
England. Yeah.
keep talking about Wales, but you know,
Mm.
there's always
Yeah,
next year.
it is. Yeah, we'll see what happened. And interesting talk, just and we've discussed it just a little bit on here before. Is I think it's Cockrell who's talking about Georgia. Like we said, he wants to have now Georgia play a game against Wales,
Hmm.
and the winner of that game, he says it's only fair that the winner of that game then partake in the Six Nations next year, because Georgia is an up and coming rugby nation. They're doing well. They're putting everything they can into their rugby. Their rugby's improving. They're looking good. They won a lot of their games, and they are now at a point where they feel they can challenge the wooden spoon winner, whoever that was, and
Hmm.
maybe then that would be fair if you take if it is the top Six Nations in Europe, then is it not only fair that the guy who loses or gets the wooden spoon plays against a tier 2 or 3 team that's up and coming but doing well, which to me makes sense. Now you got to talk about the tradition of the Six Nations, and all of that comes into play. But just on paper, I think it's fair that Georgia play the losing team, which, yeah, unfortunately for Wales, is by a long stretch as them. And then the winner of that game, maybe partake in next year's Six Nations. But that's just talk. That's
Hmm.
just wishful thinking at this stage. But it's being spoken about. So let's see what comes from that.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see. Um, it's sort of like, um, a few years ago, college basketball here in the U.S. instituted what they call a first four. So they kept March Madness, which is pretty much the college basketball playoffs. They kept it to 64, but what they did was they took the one of the teams and in the four brackets to in order to get that slot. So there's four slots open. You have 8 teams competing for the four last slots. So it kind of reminds me of what you just mentioned, where maybe you have a set of 10 teams for the Six Nations, 4 team, or the last two spots are played between 4 teams, and the winner of those games get the last two spots of Six Nations.
Mm, yeah,
So it's sort of what you've been saying, but maybe add maybe a few teams and have only two spots open, and then the top four teams of the Six Nations the previous year automatically make it, and then the last two spots are played for within amongst 4 teams,
yeah,
and
yeah. It would be interesting.
yeah, I mean that's just throwing it out there. So Six Nations people, if you're hearing this, call me and Rifle will. If they do extend Six Nations, I think that's the best way to do it. Instead of having 8 nations or whatever nations, keep it Six Nations, but the last two spots are played amongst 4 teams.
Mm,
So I think, because you don't want to
yeah.
have 9 nations or 10 nations, doesn't sound right. I think Six Nations sounds good.
No, six is, yeah, tradition. Six is good. Yeah.
So yeah, so we've digressed a little bit, but yeah, very very interesting conversation, and see what happens in the future. Six Nations. So now let's just go to each individual game here, and as we see here, the first game was between Ireland and Italy, and this this was a close game throughout. Um, and
Much closer than the Irish had wished and believed
yes,
for. That I can tell you.
yes, and I remember we were messaging back and forth, Rifle, and I just remember commenting that for Italy, with all the injuries they had in the first half, as everybody can see here, they had injuries to 3 of the forwards, I believe, that had to leave the game, and then yellow cards and everything in the first half. I'm like, wow, I was amazed that Italy was still in this game at halftime because of all the injuries and the yellow cards and all that stuff. So yeah, I was
Yes,
shocked.
silly mistakes going against them, but they fought till the end, and literally with the last 2 minutes they had the ball, and if they had scored, I mean, they would have
Yeah,
won the game. They would have taken it to Ireland, but as happened on the day, Ireland just too strong. Italy, a couple of mistakes that really cost them. Losing, as you say, two forwards, big forwards to injury in the first couple of minutes, and to face the Irish pack, and then a stupid yellow card.
yeah.
Also, 10 minute, and then they score from that. Ireland scores from that silly mistake. So I mean, it could have been very different, even just if that yellow card had not been awarded. But that's rugby. That's how things go. But at the end of the day, much closer than I think anyone thought the final score would be.
Yes, yes. And I know we had spoken about this a couple of episodes ago about how Ireland was sitting on top of the point system, and they were really I forget what it was after week two, but they were in command, and it was there to lose. But then, you know, you had the loss to uh, who was it, France, and then another game they didn't get a bonus point as
Bonus
well.
points, yeah.
So now we see at the end of the tournament, and we'll go over the final standings at the end here. So Ireland finished in third place. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And as you say, it was theirs to throw away after the first 2 weeks, and they were looking good. And a lot of talk about
yeah,
obviously the historic three-peat, but just didn't happen, didn't come to what they wanted it to be. But definitely after 2 weeks, they were in the pound seats. We were saying it's theirs to throw away, and they did. So
yep,
unfortunately, didn't go for them the way that they planned and hoped that it would.
yep, and that's just, and they ran into France, and so
As did
yeah,
everyone except England with that, I won't say lucky win, but with a win over France. But everyone else ran into France, and France
yeah,
just bulldozed them. So
yep.
France deserved, yeah, they deserved the win. But
And it's
yeah,
funny
so
you mentioned that.
good game.
Yeah, and for those who didn't watch Six Nations, if you watch the replay of that France England game, you will see why we are saying France should have won that game, and they just threw it away. So yeah, they could have had a grand slam, but unfortunately, they played probably the worst game against England. Probably the worst game in what, a couple of years or so.
By
It
far.
wasn't good. Yeah.
Yeah, by far.
So yeah. So the two, as always, I just wanted to highlight two plays from this game really quickly here. Just zoom in so that our audience can see it, the plays better. So here we have, and I promised you, Rifle, when we were preparing for this episode, that I was going to learn the name of this player, and I did. So here we have a player by the name of Angel Capruoso, and this is and I probably pronounced it wrong, but I tried my best. But Angel Capruoso is the player that I jokingly say looks like he's 12 years old. Looks so young. And he's 25, I believe. I looked up his age, and he's actually 25. So he looks half his age. So I just wanted to highlight this play here, and I just wanted to highlight before I continue to play is the speed that this uh, guy. I always say kid, but he's a man. He's 25 years old. But the speed that he has, it's just crazy. So right here we have the kick. He's gonna kick the ball, and just look at that. I mean, it is crazy, the speed that this kid has. I just wanted to play that again. So if you see here, uh, hold on, let me just play it again. Oh, so this player that's probably like what, 5, 6 meters in front of him is running at full speed as well, and he catches also catches up to him, and he's like 5, 6. I mean, he is running at diagonal, but for those who know, the fastest way to make a tackle or the fastest way to get to a player is to go at them diagonally. So the fact that this player is going diagonally and he's running full speed, and Capuoso somehow catches up to him, it's just mind blowing, the speed that this kid has.
And that
And
player that's running diagonal there is Matt Hansen. He's, Ireland's wing, so he should be one of the quickest on the field
yes,
if he's Ireland's wing. So not even Matt Hansen could get in front of him running diagonally. So yes, it just proves how quick he is.
yes, it truly does. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So that's the player I wanted to highlight for Italy. And then, oh, so here we go. We have Ireland here. And this play, well, let me just play it. So we have a throw in here from the line out. And then we just have just sheer power and determination to get to the try zone. And boom, there you go. They score a try from the maul. And I just want to highlight this because this is actually the second time they score this way. So they had two scores from a line out to a maul from the 5 meter line within, I think it was like 6 or 7 minutes of game time. So they scored the same exact way twice within 7 minutes of game time.
Yeah,
And
they could have seen there that, remember we said in the beginning the two big forwards went off for Italy. So when you see that, the biggest guys are gone and your ruck and your lineouts are good, especially 5 meters from the line, then that's a good play, because they've got to work extra hard, because the guys that come on sometimes aren't as big as the best players. So they've got to work even harder to make up for the loss of those starters. So it was just wise of Ireland to drive there from the line and scored two very good tries from those positions and moves.
yes, yes, that I'm sure it played a big factor in it as well. So yeah, and just before we move on to the next match, um, that's why I know you had mentioned, um, usually teams when they have a penalty advantage or when a team has an advantage, uh, that's why you see them from a strategic standpoint. That's why you see them kick into the corner for this specific reason. And I see it more and more now ever since you told me about the strategy behind that. Because normally everybody, if you know and if you don't know, this is what happens is if a team kicks the ball into touch, then it's the other team's line out that they throw in. However, when the team has an advantage and they kick the ball into touch, then it's their line out because they have the advantage.
Advantage meaning a penalty.
Penalty, yes, penalty advantage. So that's the strategy behind kicking. And I remember when I first started watching 6 Nations, I was like, how come sometimes when a team kicks, they do a line out, but then sometimes when they kick, the other team does a line out, and then Rifle so graciously explained that to me. So it's a strategy.
What you can also see there on that play, Danny, is if you notice how many of the Irish backline come and join the forwards when they start pushing towards the line.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you'll have 8 versus 8, then you'll have the fly off in the center come and join. Now you've got 8 versus 10. So now the pack of Ireland is much, much heavier. And it's very, very difficult now for Italy to push all of those guys because you are underweight. You are maybe 7 or 8 against 10 guys. But the thing with that play is because Ireland has the ball and they are in control, they can keep the ball, but Italy can't have all of their backs come and push, because if Ireland takes the ball and they swing it wide, if all the guys came to push and help around the ruck, there's no one wide. So all you need is one player in the back line to take the ball and just run, skew and go to the corner.
Mm.
So that's one thing with Italy. They have to keep a couple of guys in the back line should Ireland distribute the ball to the back. But because it's their ball and they got complete control, they can choose, do we want to keep this ball with the forwards? And this is what they did. And we're keeping it here and we're pushing and more coming and they're heavy and it's more difficult to stop. But you'll see the Italian guys in the back, they got to wait there, because if they just swing that ball, there's no one there to tackle and counter. So that's another good thing that Ireland did there. They were completely in control. They could choose what they wanted to do, and they're very good with that move. And as you say, 2 tries within a couple of minutes. They practice that well and they do it good.
Yeah, yes, that they do, and it's just amazing to see that. Just that, like I said, sheer determination to score and just push, a strong push back. So yeah. So there you go, everybody. As you can see here, the final was 22-17, a win for Ireland. So now the second game was the again, I hate to harp on this, but was the beatdown of Wales, for Wales. And I mean, it's not really much to say. England dominated this game. As you have said, mentioned, is very demoralizing losing a game like this. And I know you in this game. Remember you telling me that, and just seeing the back row of Curry, the Curry twins, and Ben Earl, uh, just causing havoc for the opponents, between tackles and takeaways, and just being there. And I mean, it was a thing of beauty to watch. And a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, I believe, throughout this series, the positions 10, which is the fly half, and 15, which is the fullback, you had Marcus Smith playing both positions at a certain point in the series, Six Nation series. And you were just mentioning, Rifle, that you think England really needs to sort that out, because at times you know their play uh, was not gelling, as you said, at
Yeah,
times
and
in the
the
series.
thing is that before the Six Nations, they had Marcus Smith on fullback, and he was seemingly the guy. I mean, he was going to
Yeah.
be fly off, and he was running, and he's a good playmaker. And then Bortwick, one game took him out, and he was on the bench. One game he was fly half. They brought in Finn Smith, who's not bad, but from a team standpoint, when you play, you want to know the guy next to you. You want to have had a couple of games
Mm.
that you know what the guy's thinking even before he does something. And it's very difficult, to play next to someone. And last week it was him. Then next week it's a different guy. Now it's the same guy playing, but a different position. And it just makes it difficult. So England did, I mean, they thumped Wales. They're bigger. They're just
Hmm.
better. But if they want to play now, because they've won a lot of their games at England, I think they're very, very happy that they did so well. But if they want to take on New Zealand, if they want to take on the Springboks, they have to figure out who's their starting number 10 going to be, and then work the back line around that player, which they do not have at this stage. So in the next couple of games, they're going to have to really solidify their number 10, and from there on just build, because they did well, they played well. I think they're very happy with where they ended, but that's one thing that I would say that they have to sort out is their fly half position.
Yeah, yeah, very interesting, very interesting. And as you see here, so England ends the campaign, Six Nations series, and they take second place in the series. So yeah, so I'm sure they're happy about that. Coming off the high of beating France. What was it? Week 3, was it, or week 2?
I think
That
it
they
was a second
played
week, yeah,
second
because
week,
right in the
week 2.
beginning, their
Yes,
second game, France, yeah.
yeah, so coming off that, beating France, and then you know, as we had um, mentioned in the previous episode, was when France beat. I'm sorry, when England beat France. I remember saying, "Oh, I'm going to be praying for the next team that plays France because they're going to come out and really, hit all cylinders because they're mad of how they played against England." And that's exactly what happened when France played Italy.
That
It
was
was just a
Italy, yeah.
I was like, I prayed for the Italians, but that didn't help. It was bad. It was a slaughter, that game as well. Um, so yeah, so you know, France, and we'll talk about it in the next last game of the weekend was France and Scotland. So yeah, so the two plays that I wanted to highlight in this match was so this first play I wanted to highlight because I saw something very interesting, and again, Rifle so graciously explained what occurred in this play. So just to set up this play, um, well, again, let me just play it. So we have a line out from England. So right here, I saw something and I was like, okay, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that was allowed. But then again, Rifle explained to me what happened. So, and we'll get that into that in a few seconds here. So right here, we're gonna see a pass right here. So what happens is, boom, and it happens so quick that if you're not noticing, you'll probably miss it. And then, of course, they eventually score. There we go. So I'm gonna roll this back. Oh, okay. Again, so we see this player right here. Now, when we when I was talking to Eiffel, I thought that this player intentionally did this. But then Rifle explained to me that him, he grew up playing rugby, and this is something that they don't practice. And it's probably, it's very hard to do. It's very
We
hard to do.
definitely don't practice that, no.
So when I first saw this the first few times, I was like, okay, he did that intentionally. I didn't know that was legal. I thought the ref would stop that. But what happens actually is when I saw it again and Rifle explained to me is the player was actually trying to get out of the way, but the ball was moving so fast he couldn't get out of the way fast enough, and it just looks like he headbutted the ball forward. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, now when he explained it to me, it made sense. When you look at it, he actually tried to duck out of the way, and but he couldn't duck out of the way, and the ball hit his head and moved forward, and of course it worked out for England because they eventually scored.
Danny, if you can go back to where you did start, where the fly half passed,
Okay,
and I
right here.
want you to notice the number on the player's back. Who created this try? Look at the three players that are the lead players in this try being scored.
Okay, so tell me when to stop.
No, we'll just watch the whole thing.
Oh, okay,
Just look at the numbers on the guys' backs.
okay, that's
Look
12.
here. Number 7.
7.
Look who's
Okay,
right there behind him. Number 8.
okay.
Look who they pass to and finishes the try. Number 6. Who are we talking about?
Oh,
Tim
forward.
Curry, Ben Curry, and Ben Earl. 6, 7, 8. The three of them there once again. I mean, the whole game, they were just so good. They were all over the place. They were just on that loose ball, I mean, it goes from the guy's head, not a regular thing in rugby, but Curry's there, Ben Curry, sorry. I had the wrong name there, but the two Curry brothers there and Ben Earl. I mean, it's just that's how good they were in this game. They were just dominating the loose ball, the tackles, drives with ball in hand. They were really, really good in this game. And there's a try, Curry scoring the try. And I don't know if you can recall, but in the previous week, his brother got the man of the match. So, I mean, they've
Oh
been
yes.
really, really good for England. So, hats off to those three. Yeah.
Okay. And the twins, I think we had mentioned, right?
They're twins, correct. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Creating havoc for Wales throughout the whole game.
Yeah. Unfortunate because they played at home as well. So,
Yeah.
that's a very holy ground for the Welsh as their Cardiff, their stadium where they play. And I watched just after the game, they were talking to some Welsh players walking by who were at the game, and they were very, very, maybe 9 out of 10 people were so despondent and so angry. Just one player, one supporter, sorry, said, "New coach, new players, what did you expect? We'll be back." But the other 9 were like, "I paid 260 quid for this. This is just absolutely ridiculous." So,
Yes. It
yeah,
was
not a
a
good
tough
day
day.
for Wales, unfortunately.
Tough day. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask, have you checked up on your friend that's Welsh lately?
Well, he stopped watching rugby. He doesn't watch anymore. He
Oh,
says
okay.
it's bad for his heart. So he doesn't watch anymore, which
Yeah,
I can understand.
I don't blame him. He's a lot happier now.
Yeah. Yeah, not knowing what's happening. He's healthier as well.
Yeah. So this is one of the two tries that Wales scored. I just wanted to highlight because um, prior to where this replay starts, England had already made, I don't know, about 6 or 7 tackles already. And it's interesting because this series of play happened from like the 7 meters away from the try, and they're at the 5 meter line right now. So in like about 6 or 7 tackles, Wales has gone only 2 meters. And this was probably and when they actually scored, I was like, I literally had a sigh of relief. I was like, thank God they finally scored. So as we can see here again, English defense was just amazingly good this game here. So again, we have from the ruck. This is probably tackled like number 7 or 8. Pass again, another tackle. They're going backwards, so you're like, okay, Wales is never gonna score. And then finally, they find a player who's free and scores.
Little
So
gap
that's
in
a,
the back line there, yeah.
yeah, in the back line there. But it took like about 10 or 11 tackles, and they only had moved 2 meters uh, prior to that. So there you go. Wales score. It was a hard fought score, but they
Mm,
scored nonetheless.
yeah, good for them.
Okay. So now we are going to go to the last game. Um, oh, sorry about that. Let me just redo this here. Here we go. So we're going to go to the last game here of the weekend and of the 2025 Six Nations series as well. So we have France and Scotland going head to head. And obviously, this game took place in France. And at halftime, this was a close game. Halftime score was 16-13. And I was like, wow, can Scotland really pull this off? And probably have not the biggest upset, but a very big upset in the Six Nations series, because I think the biggest upset would have been if Wales beat France in that first game.
Mm.
But if Scotland would have beat France, that would have been a pretty big upset. So yeah, they were close at halftime.
Yeah, they still had a fighting chance half time, and looked good. Um, Obviously, you and I spoke about it. But half time, when they went into the dugout or the change rooms, Gautier, he climbed in the middle of that little huddle and he let the boys have it. I'm telling you, he was not happy. He was not a happy camper. And you could see when they came out after halftime that obviously whatever he said worked. But up until that time, Scotland, as I say, halftime 16-13, still definitely in it with a chance. And if they could, that's what the two commentators on Peacock were saying before the game. If Scotland can just keep it close to the end, then they've got a chance. And halftime, they were saying, see, we correct. This is what we said. But the floodgates just opened when the French came out after the second half. Their 7-1 split. It's very, very difficult to defend against that if you got, 8 forwards who are tired and they've worked hard and they've done everything they can. And you got 7 fresh beasts who come onto a field that are going to scrum against you. It's very difficult, very demoralizing if you got to scrum and you got to now go and pack against someone like that. It's not fun, that I can tell you. So till half time, yes, and then Scotland just could not do it, not close. So France good in the end. They were very good. Some silly mistakes they gave away. Mulvaka at one stage giving away the yellow card. And if you look at it, you got pushed to the ground, and my thinking was he didn't know who pushed him, so he thought the
Yeah.
guy that was in front of him maybe pulled him down because he just went down and then hit him with a head butted him. The yellow card there, that was silly. Lucky it was only a yellow. Lucky it didn't
Yeah.
connect. That would have been red and gone, and he would have definitely been off.
Mhm.
But despite that, as I say, up until halftime, French not looking their normal brilliant team that they normally are. And Gautier climbed into them, and after the break, they came out firing on everything that they had, and they were back to their good French rugby.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree. So I think all of the commentators in that game and a few other, just listening to and reading about all the reaction to this weekend. Um, uh, a lot of people thought that one play where I forget the French player's name, he headbutted the player on the ground.
Mulvaka,
Movaka, there you go. Thank
he's
you.
their hooker.
Yes, and
He's good.
that game that play that should have been upgraded to a red card. Some a lot of people think, but didn't happen. It wasn't upgraded to a red card, and and the game went on, and France went on to win. But yeah, it was. I'm sure if he were to watch the video again, he'd probably go up to the Scotland player and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't realize my own player was the one that pushed you on top of
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
It was friendly fire." So yeah, I'm sure he didn't know. Obviously, if he would have noticed that, he would have reacted that way.
right, yeah,
So yeah, it was unfortunate, but it happened, and yellow card stayed a yellow card, and then, like we have said, second half France. I jokingly said France turned into the hawk.
yeah,
They always turn into the hawk. Hulk, not the bird.
yeah,
The
yeah,
superhero hawk, and just
yeah,
in the second half, again, except for the England game, all the other 4 games, France in the second half is just okay.
yeah. Very good.
Yeah,
But you you
if
you
I
talk
was a
about
player, I'm sorry.
now you talk about friendly fire and your own teammate pushing you down. I remember we played a game, was a very, very big game. The winner of this game would go through to the finals of one of the leagues that we played in South Africa. So it was 2 first teams, so 18-year-old, guys. And I was very slow. I'm not fast, not the fastest runner at all in any case. So I got the ball and everything just went my way, and I ran through. And as I'm from the halfway, just picked up the ball, loose ball, picked it up and ran. And their prop, their biggest guy is chasing me and he's gaining on me. So I ran looking behind me, and everyone's saying, don't look behind you, just go, just go. In any case, I ran and I died. And as I landed on the ground, I felt this big guy on top of me. And I thought it was this guy that was chasing me. And I also turned around, wanted to eat, and it was my dad. As soon as I scored the try, my dad jumped on me and he was congratulating me. And he was like, well done, well done, well done. And it was just like Mubarak. I turned around ready to smack this guy, not knowing who it was. And it was my dad. So one of the few tries that I scored in my whole life, I remember my dad on my back as soon as I hit the ground. So friendly fire does happen in rugby sometimes.
There you go. Rugby player hits own dad after
Yeah.
scoring. Yeah, that would have been the headline. Yeah. And just before I show the two players that on the highlight in this game, what was it? Just yeah. So Scotland actually scored a try that was overturned. Um, Apparently, the player was in touch. So yeah, they had given Scotland the score, and then I guess the TMO saw something and overturned the try. And this actually happened in the second half. So Scotland had, oh no, I'm sorry, in the first half, right before the half ended. So actually, Scotland would have been up at halftime
Yes. Yes. If they
if
let that try go through, yeah.
the try would have stood, but it was overturned because they deemed that the player he
Foot
actually
went
had
into
fallen.
touch, yeah.
Yeah, because he had fallen back trying to save the ball, and then I think his back touched the touch line or something like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
so they almost scored, almost went into the half with the lead, but didn't happen.
I'm glad for Gautier's sake that didn't happen, because he might have had a heart attack if they went back and they were losing. Goodness, he was so angry.
Yeah, if that would have happened, France would have this game would have
Lost the
ended like
coach.
80 to 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, France showed mercy on Scotland in the second half. Um, so the two plays I wanted to highlight in this match here. Here we go. So this is just I know we had mentioned many times the speed of the midfield of Italy, and we just highlighted that in the first game of Caparozzo and the midfield players for Italy. This was another by Scotland. This was another play that, I mean, you have maybe a foot, half a meter of space. So for us Americans, that's like probably like 1.5 to 2 feet of space, which is very little. You know, a normal human is what, about 24 inches wide, give or take, depending on the person. So I wanted to highlight this play because the speed of just boom running through a hole, it's just amazing. So here we have again beginning from a rock and boom. I mean that's just so I wanted to highlight that play. I mean let me just play that again.
If you go back to the start where you were, Danny, then you can see even he's running past the forward there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Can you see? You got this fast backline player, and there you got a big forward trying to catch him. So if you running into the ball on speed, you're already like running.
Yeah.
And now you can't expect a big forward to come around who's standing and all of a sudden try and catch a guy coming in speed there. You just can't do it. So he picks it up very good, and he just turns to the left a little bit, and he's past the forward. They can't get him.
Yep. And that's exactly what happened. Like you mentioned, Ford, he tried. It wasn't
Yeah, he
successful.
did well. He tried, but just a mismatch there. You got a wing against a forward,
Yeah.
big prop or something.
And and we've highlighted plays, similar plays like this. Of the other aspect of this play is the timing of the pass. Um, if you don't time the pass perfectly, if he would have been half a second later in passing the ball, or a quarter of a second later passing the ball, then that forward would have
Ford
actually
would
gone
have
to the
crushed
player.
him. Yeah.
Yes. So that's the other aspect of the game, is the timing of the pass is also crucial to this play as well. And then the second play I wanted to highlight is, and we've mentioned this many times throughout the Six Nations series, is well, you've mentioned it, Rifle, many times, is France is the type of team that, yes, they have a lot of talent, young talent, a lot of depth. But another thing that makes them so dangerous is they're very patient. They wait, they play hard, and they wait for their opponent to make a mistake. And once they make that mistake, they pounce. And this is one of these plays where you cannot make mistakes like this. You could probably get away with mistakes like this against Italy, sorry, Italians, against Wales, maybe even against England at times, but not against France. And
Mm.
you'll see what I'm talking about, everybody, in a moment here. So here we're going to see a bunch of passes that you're like, what in the world are they doing? So there's one pass that you're like, okay, what was that? There's another pass that you're like, okay, what was that? And then there's another pass where,
Finn
again,
Russell.
you're like,
Uh,
what was that? France takes the ball away and they score. Again, waited for the opponent to make a mistake. They committed a mistake, took the ball, put their players went into sixth gear, and they score. And this is the other player that I promised you that I was going to learn his name, Luis Bielbre. There you
there you
go. I
go.
did my homework.
Excellent. Double barrel BB surname.
There you go. And of course, Luis, that's a typical French name for a man or a boy, Luis.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and this guy has actually, with this try, I believe he
Top,
broke the record for single player tries
yeah, in the
in the
Six
Six
Nations, top
Nations.
scorer.
So, yeah, so he broke the record for having the most tries in Six Nations in history
Yep.
as a player, single player.
Yeah. Because we have
And
to remember they played, like you said, they played Italy where they had 74, 73 or
mhm,
74. So, I mean, a lot of tries in that game scored. So it's possible if you have scores like that to break, records. So, but I
yeah,
mean, you still got to do it. But, he did it. Congratulations.
yeah. And this kid is a stud. He's only 20 years old. I think he's going to turn 21 soon. So yeah, this kid is a stud. And I enjoyed watching him play throughout the series. I don't know what the numbers are, but I would say probably 70, 80% of the time he was around the ball, making tackles, scoring tries, setting up other players to score tries. This kid, 8 out of 10 times, if you look at the screen, this kid was around the ball, making one of those plays. It was fun to watch him, and again, he's still young, so it's crazy what a great career this kid, is gonna have if he continues to play this way.
Yeah.
And then, of course, France has probably many would consider the best player in the world in Dupont. So that also helps. So as you said, you know, France was your favorite, and there you go. They won the Six Nations, so you were correct, Rifle. So to end
Don't
this
know what to
episode,
say on that one. Yeah.
you picked them, and you were
I think
correct. So
France,
yeah,
yeah, they were good. Their club rugby in Toulon were just, a lot of them play for Toulouse, and they did very well in the club championship. So they play with each other, they know each other, and they just took that club form into the international form. So I couldn't see that anyone could beat them. They're just too good.
yep, yes, yes, they were.
Yeah. So looking here at just like in life, if you ask someone, so how was the Six Nations? I think it depends on who you ask. Obviously, if you ask France, they'll be happy to win, but they could have had a grand slam. They should not have
Mm,
lost to England. So it's nice to be the winners, but England, I think, will be happy to get second place. I think a lot of people were thinking maybe third, round about there, but they very, very happy with second place. You ask Ireland, going for the three-peat the last 2 years, 2 years ago, Grand Slam, then winning last year. First 2 weeks, just everything going according to plan. Then you end up third, very, very disappointed, not playing like they did last year. They got to find what's wrong in their team. They got to find their fly half, just like England. Are they going to play Prendergast or not? They got to find that out. Scotland, not really the greatest of competitions. Silly, loose mistakes that they did in different games that cost them. Italy, did okay. Came close to big games. Obviously not to France, but I mean they were close still to the very, very end against some of the other teams except France that they could have won. It's good for them that they're not taking home the wooden spoon. So, mixed, and obviously Wales, if you talk to them, it's just a shambles.
mm,
So it depends on who you talk to, but I think every team there would definitely tell you, even France, we could have done better.
mm,
Happy to win, but there's still improvement for each and every one of those teams. But France, by far the best team. No one, was going to catch them. They're just too good, and congratulations to them. I'm not happy about that because the French team, they're very young. Their
mm.
average age, I think, is in the 20s. And
Yeah.
South Africa, the Springboks, we got to play the end of the year. We're playing France and we're playing Ireland, so that's going to be tough. But France, they're a formidable team. They're also now trying that 7-1 split, and it's working for them. So Rassi's got to work around that and see how we can counter attack that. Big forwards, just like South Africa, but a very, very good team with some fast backs. So I'm not looking forward to playing France at the end of the year. But congratulations to the French. They fair and square won the contest, and I thoroughly enjoyed the Six Nations this year. I think there was some super rugby played, some phenomenal brilliance from each team. Whether you had Wales had times where they were great. Italy, some amazing speedsters in their backlines that just pulled off some impossible things. So it was good rugby. There were good games, I think, all the way through. Even as we said in the first weeks, to see, the big game between Italy and Wales, who's going to take home the wooden spoon, even though it was for the bottom, it was still good rugby. It was still exciting. So it wasn't a weekend where we could say this game doesn't matter. Because if you didn't get your bonus points in that week, it's going to come to bite you in the behind later. So a good Six Nations, ended well. Very good tournament. I loved every moment of it.
Yes, yes. Same here. Uh, my sentiments as well. What a great Six Nations we had this year. And what was interesting was there was a possibility that this will end where England and France having the same amount of points in the point system. Because if France would have won but not scored 4 tries, um, then England and France would have had the same amount of points. However, as we had gone over a few episodes ago about tiebreakers, if that happens, they would have went to point differential. So France still would have won, been in the number one position because of point differential, and
Correct.
France's point differential. I think I had calculated England needed to score another 48 points in the last game in order to, or 49 because it was 48 to have the same point differential, but 49 in order to take the number one spot. So that wasn't gonna happen.
No,
They had scored 63 point. What was the final? 63. I think they
I
scored
think it was 68.
68. There you go. So they would have to score what's 49
Over
and
100.
yeah, a lot, like
A lot.
120, 120, 121, something like that, in
Yeah,
order to take the number one position. So
yeah.
France was sitting pretty good at the top there. So everyone, hope you enjoyed our recap of week 5 of this 2025 Six Nations series. What a great series this was. Again, congrats to France. And it was a pleasure watching and discussing the series with you, Rifle. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Pretty good
thank
to
you very
watch.
much. It was good rugby, and just always enjoy good rugby games. So nothing to complain about. It was great.
Yes, yes. And more rugby to come with the British Irish Lions Tour. Then we have the Rugby Championship. And also on the women's side, in the summer, we have the Women's
World Cup.
2025 World Cup. And
Yeah.
then we have finish off, like every year, the Autumn Nations Series. So a lot of rugby to look forward to.
Yay.
Yep. And then we have all the club level rugby matches as well. So, yeah, it's amazing year of rugby, as always. So, with that, everyone, again, Rifle, thank you.
You're
Hope you
welcome.
enjoyed
Thanks
this
for watching,
episode.
everyone.
And take care, everyone. And until next time, take care.
Cheers, everyone. Stay well.
Thank you for watching this episode of Rugby with Rifle. Remember to press the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet to support this podcast.